Hello, and welcome to another Viewfinders, I say episode, broadcast, stream, whatever this is. Welcome everyone that is here watching, and we will get this going in just a sec. But yeah, so I'm thrilled to welcome Tag Christof here. He is one of my favorite photographers, and I admire, and so it is like a thrill to share, to get someone that doesn't just shoot cars, that has like a totally different approach to photography, totally different approach to cars. And I think we're going to get a lot of insights from him. So welcome.
I'm super excited to be here. I've been such a fan of yours for such a long time.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is. You are, you are like the photographer's photographer. This is a story that like makes me look bad and you look good. But like whenever someone that's like, you know how people will follow you, and like if you have like, you know, a following on Instagram or whatever, it's like I make this terrible calculus, and if someone has like a big audience, I will just like maybe follow them back because I'm like, oh, like they're like me or something. It's terrible. It is disgusting. So sometimes I go look and it's like later they've unfollowed me because like I don't know, maybe I'm not whatever. Everyone always follows you. Every art account, every like amazing art account that I follow that I'm like, oh, these people would not follow me back. My work is like it's different. It's cars. It's too commercial. They always follow you. Like I think your tens of thousands audience is all photographers and people, and obviously many other people that like your work and creative people. But like you are just. It's like every photographer, you are on their radar, I think. And that is like a testament to what you do.
It's funny how we all do that to ourselves though, right? Because I think, I don't know. I've had, who were like the major people that followed you that were just like, oh my God, my life is made?
I mean, I remember when James Littman, who we were just talking about offline, when he followed me back and kind of acknowledged me, like I was like, oh, that's like I
made it. Follow me, so that says something.
Well, maybe he will after this. So how are you today?
I'm good. It's fall in Los Angeles finally. I think it'll be fall for like 2 days and then it'll be 2,000 degrees again.
So you are
in advance because Wednesday at my place is the day that the gardeners just kind of swarm around the building. So
that's okay.
We might get some roads here in a minute.
Mine is the exact same thing with me, but I think it rained, so we might be in luck. They might not come by today. Yeah, your work, you are I said you were a fine art photographer. I mean that in like the highest way, where it's like you are an artist and you
makes me sound frivolous.
You shoot just amazing photos of Americana in the Southwest, and you've got like a few different things that you like doing, and cars, you know, are such a fixture in America and the Southwest, and it fits, like it works so well with what you do. And so I've got to check my notes here.
I feel like there's a fine line between shooting that stuff and kind of just being a trope. Right, there's so many people that kind of shoot the Southwest and Americana, and
yeah,
there's a lot of it that's extremely high quality. There's some amazing photographers that have been doing that for ages. It's a tradition, right, in American photographic history to shoot those things. But I don't know. I've tried to. Those are the things that I grew up amongst. I love them, and I lived outside of the U.S. for most of my adult life, and I think it just sort of gave me a different way of seeing them, maybe. Which I don't know. I don't know whether I capture them in a different way than any other photographer does, but I love them, and I think that's kind of what's important in your work sometimes, right? You love cars.
Yeah.
You are the man when it comes to shooting them, and yeah, it's just cool. Like I met up with Hussein Ertur over coffee a couple weeks ago.
He told me that.
He was episode number 1. He's just, I mean, the dude has such an eye.
Yeah,
And he loved
absolutely.
cars. We talked about cars nonstop for like 90 minutes.
Oh, that's
The
amazing.
parking meter ended, and that was the end of our conversation.
Well, you're close by. You got to get together
Yeah,
again. So
yeah, yeah.
you're in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Do you
Yep.
sometimes in Albuquerque or New
Yeah,
Mexico?
so I'm originally from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I go back pretty often. But I
Oh,
used to live
okay.
in New York City. I lived in Milan for years, which is also a big car city.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, a lot of time in New Mexico, and there's a really particular car culture there. I think you picked out some lowrider photos, and those are all New Mexico
Yeah.
lowriders.
Yeah. I love New Mexico. I drove through there in 2018 in my 911, and it like
Dude,
choked on the altitude. It just like it didn't want to start after I got. I was just like it was just passing through. I got lunch there, and it like didn't want to start afterwards. Like it had 10 horsepower because it's what's the altitude there? Is it like
I think
8,000
Santa
feet or
Fe is
something?
like 8,000. It's higher than Denver.
It's crazy. It,
Hey,
you feel it. You feel
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Um, yeah. So uh, a lot of people wouldn't know that you love cars because necessarily know that you love cars because you're it doesn't it's not a huge part of your online persona because the cars fit so naturally in your art. It's just like you're documenting these places, this like decay, whatever you want to call it. Like you are showing that, and so it doesn't jump out that you actually are like a car enthusiast.
Yeah, such a car nerd. I think I got every single car magazine that I could get delivered to my house when I was like 5 years old. From then till
Oh,
forever.
that's awesome.
So I studied industrial design. I went to college when I was pretty young, and I got a degree in economics. Hated my life. Was working for a bank. Was lucky enough to be able to go back to school, and I went to art school and I studied industrial design. And I was kind of in that design world, and I came to photography in that way. So I've always kind of just focused on design in general, but I just love cars. I love
Yeah.
cars.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell us about your background with photography.
So I moved to Milan after college, before graduate school, but after college, I had studied in New York, and I couldn't find a job in a design house anywhere because everybody moves to Milan because that's like the place where you go to be a designer, right?
I don't know if
And,
everybody moves to
and
Milan, but
actually,
that's a pretty big leap. But yeah, I guess globally it's like
yeah, I wanted to be like the Martin Bass like guy in his workshop making cool chairs and just carving things and showing things and kind of like the fine artist as a designer, but that doesn't really exist in the world unless you have like a trust fund and really good connections, which I totally didn't at the time. But I lucked out and I actually found a job in a photography agency, and I started at the bottom. I was basically putting pages in portfolios and answering phones and helping on productions. And I worked there for a couple years, and little by little started making my own photos at the time. And there was the creative director had been a fashion photographer, and he shot large format, and he kind of showed me the ropes with that. I started shooting 35 millimeter. I just bought a little Rolly 35 and would walk around Milan and take photos. And then I'd come back to the States in the summer and just shoot, make things, get in the car, drive. It's basically still what I do these days. And
nice.
little by little, just kind of made that my life.
We should have you come back and we'll look at those 35 and see if you still like them.
I was thinking about it earlier. I was looking through a bunch of stuff, and it is pretty crazy how fully formed your eye is. Like when you first start, I bet if you look at your old, you can see kind of like traces of your work. Your current work and your old stuff.
I don't know. Like I did that live stream a couple of weeks ago with Daniel, where I looked at my old work, and it was like I kind of had like what I thought would happen, and it really what I discovered like on that broadcast was that I kind of thought that all photo taking, actually like taking the picture with the camera, like if it was exposed and technically right, like it's all basically the same. So I had to differentiate myself with this like stupid edits. And so when I took away those edits, I was like, these are just boring photos, you know? And that like it wasn't at all what I expected to happen. Like I kind of could justify why I edited that way because I made so little effort when I was shooting, because I just thought like, oh, well, all these are, every picture is going to be the same. Like it's the post that's what makes the difference, which is I'm you know, hopefully I'm the opposite, somewhere in the spectrum of opposite, not the opposite of that, but you know.
Yeah, that's that can of worms of questions of style and all that stuff. Where does it come from? You've got style for sure. Did you study photo, or were you a designer first, or how did you get your start?
Yeah, I studied design. I got my degree in design, but like we had to have a lot of art electives, and I took a lot of photo electives, and you know,
Cool.
it's one of those things where it's like you wish you could redo it when you had more time or more focus, or do things differently. Not like, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I rushed so many projects that I wasn't, because it's just like, oh, I just don't have time for this. And I just phoned it in on a lot of things. And yeah, this is like, I hate to make this so much about me, but one of these anecdotes that I had is like, we had this this is photography 1, but the final assignment was we had to take a picture, like find every letter in the alphabet in the world, or out in the world, find like all 26 letters and shoot them, and they had to be like on contact sheets. Like you submitted the contact sheet, so it's like that you got one shot of each, had to be exposed right, and you had to find it. And if they were all over town, you had to you had to do them properly in order and stuff. And I was like, this is stupid. This sucks. And it's raining out. And my friend Tara was like a brilliant art student, and she was just like, she was at my house. She was like, let's just do this. And we found all these just like around the house, like lamp, like just like a 5 in like the top of the lampshade wire and stuff, like just it was like really looking things differently. And I think that just like always shaped me. I try to always think about that is like, there was years when I didn't, but now I still feel like that influences me.
Yeah, those things are super important.
Yeah,
I think we, in this age of Instagram, kind of don't look as much as we should, right? Because we're all about just showing something. Yeah. And we don't really get time to just kind of be out in the world looking. And that kind of thing. I mean, shooting film in general, right? You don't want to fucking waste a roll,
right,
on nothing. Right. And so you have to kind of look more closely and be a little bit more careful. And I think whether you shoot in digital or film like that process is super important to kind of learning how to see.
Yeah, you'll have to point out. So how much of the things that we'll look at are film?
I think pretty much everything you've chosen is digital, because it's all from the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Film kind of, the only film camera I have left is a little Leica M6 that my mom gave me, so I'll never get rid of it. And I just kind of use that casually out in the world. There's a few things on my Instagram that generally I just shoot.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you meant you were shooting film now, or you're referring to.
No, I mean just more kind of as a formative thing, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So much props to people who actually shoot film day to day as professionals, and because that's insane. Like, power to them.
Yeah.
I stopped doing it a long time ago.
I definitely like explore more, get more creative, get more weird when I have, like, if I was shooting iPhone for things like, and when I'm just shooting my SLR, and now my Instagram is pretty much just SLR, because I kind of just shifted for whatever reason. And I just like, I don't look for weird angles. I don't look for as much stuff. It's like, I try to do it like proper. And with the phone, it's like you have to like overcome the limitations, like, and you have to do weird things. And so I definitely, are not as adventurous with the digital, like a full camera. And I'm sure with film, I'd be even less adventurous, because it's like, well, this I can't take a risk, because it's got to be right, or whatever.
The angle that's going to kind of look good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you'll end up shooting. But I love what a big proponent of just shooting with the like mobile phone you are.
Yeah. I mean,
I cannot make. There was one iPhone, it was like the 4S or something, and it was super lo-fi, and it kind of like everything that came out of it kind of looked like came from an old Instamatic or something. It was the last iPhone that I ever really liked to use as a camera, because the colors were kind of wrong, and it just was a little bit like too contrasty, and the dynamic range was terrible. But man, I cannot make a good iPhone photo to save my life. I was listening to one of your casts the other day, and you need to start with the iPhone, and that's where you're gonna get good. And I was like, oh my god, I can't even do that.
I mean, it
Right.
really like changed how I shoot. Like I found my style from doing that because like you know, that forced me to be creative. Like that was um I was just I didn't really have like a thing that I like. And also the dynamic range limitation was like what kind of got me into like the stuff that I like to do. It's like, oh, this is the stuff I like. I don't like shooting lighting and trying to make something look like a car ad. I want to have these weird mysterious shadows and stuff like that. So
You're
anyway,
such a master of those.
well, thank you. We got to get back to you here. Let's get some work on the screen.
Go for it.
I'm going to add this. So we're not gonna click through the internet this time. We've got like 20 something photos. We're gonna go through. Tag is gonna talk about them a little bit, and we'll switch back and forth between some questions and looking at the work. But yeah, what can you tell me about this? You posted this yesterday. I don't know if it was a repost or what, but you posted this yesterday to promote this stream, which is super cool. Thank you so much for doing that.
I guess the reason I use this one is because I don't, I think you said earlier, I don't really shoot cars in the traditional sense, but I just kind of like to show them in context. And this was for a story I did for a magazine about this motel on Route 66. That's just it's kind of a time capsule, completely unchanged from when it was first opened in the 1950s, and it's still amazing, and it's got this great neon, and people kind of flock there and stuff, and people go just show their cars off. And this couple, it was a man and woman. She was like 8.5 months pregnant, and they were driving this Trans Am across the country. They stopped for the night at this hotel, and it just happened to be parked out there, and he asked me to shoot it here and there.
Wow.
I liked the primary colors, like the red, yellow, and blue, and
yeah.
I just liked kind of how this car just looked so kind of natural in that habitat. I didn't clean the bugs off the front of it or anything. It's just kind of they were driving that thing from Chicago to LA.
Wow.
And I thought it was super cool. So
yeah, absolutely. So you lit this?
Yeah. Okay. I just lit, I think, with one single strobe. It might be two. I don't remember.
Okay, it looks like two. It looks like there's a one in front, one on the side, but there also maybe is like a spotlight on the building.
There was it was just a strobe on kind of the side of the building, and then a lower powered one just to kind of give some emphasis to the front.
Wow. Yeah, it doesn't look like it has bugs on it. Yeah, that's really cool. The tire, like the writing on the tire just like makes it.
It's just a cool car, right? You couldn't make a bad photo of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was kind of a story to it that I thought was nice.
Yeah, I love that, and like especially how you pointed out like the primary colors. Like it's cool because they're all a little off too. Like that yellow is like dingy, you know, and the blue is like faded. Like it's it speaks to like what you capture, like you document, like I said, like this like decay, you know. All right, is the next one. This was 2 in this series.
Yeah, this is a portrait of a man, Mr. Quintana, who has been working on this lowrider for I think 2 decades. This was part of a commission I had from Road and Track last year, and it was about three lowrider owners who've been working on their cars for a long time in this town that's considered the lowrider capital of the world.
Oh, wow.
And I just like to. I mean, the cars are beautiful in and of themselves, but to see him with the car kind of completed it for me. The dude is kind of like this living kind of embodiment of this car. He's got the swagger. He just like dresses the part. He rolls through town in that thing like once a week, and cool dude.
Yeah. Well, the colors are incredible. Shadow and the roof shadow, and in like that warm tone in the background is great. But what is amazing is like his face is framed by like the weirdest A pillar I've ever seen on a car. Like that's
The
just so
little
cool. How
wraparound
these,
windshields are insane, right?
it's so weird. Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to talk about that. Like you shoot, um, like the Southwest, and you capture Americana in life, and then Road and Track comes to you and says, like, we love what you do. Like, we want you to shoot some cars for us.
That was such a
So,
dream come true. Like I've read these magazines since forever, but my work I didn't think lend itself terribly well to that style. So I'd never hit up an editor any of the car magazines, but it was really fun to work on this project.
well, it speaks to Road and Track for, and
Yeah.
I'm not like closely affiliated or anything. Like I know some people, but that speaks to Road and Track having good taste
Yeah.
and to take a chance, like, and get something different.
Totally.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they've been really doing a nice job with it, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of this idea of the car as a cultural object rather than just a thing to buy and sell, and the thing that only kind of is important when it's new, or which is very different than kind of like hot rod magazines or things that are about the speed. Like this is really they've really kind of started telling stories about cars as cultural objects, and that's something that really appeals to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. We started talking about you were in Milan working at a photo agency.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
I worked there for a couple of years, and then I went to grad school again for design in the UK. And I did that, and then I moved back to the States. I bought a 73 Pontiac Grand Prix in San Francisco for $900 on eBay. Drove it till it wouldn't go anymore. It was like 6 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
And then I happened to get a job in Virginia, and I lived there for a little while, and worked as the editorial director of this company. And then I was back in New York, and then I moved to LA 3 years ago. And I've been I really didn't start doing photo as my main line of work until when I moved to LA. It was kind of the impetus.
So your work was like getting noticed and starting to become like you started getting a reputation, and things were picking up when you got
I was always making the work. I was shooting kind of urban spaces and kind of like these pieces of architecture as cultural objects, right? I'm really interested in kind of planned obsolescence and the way that objects kind of fall out of vogue and how styles change. And I think that's why my work kind of looks a lot more nostalgic than I think it is. I'm not really all that interested in nostalgia so much. I'm just interested in kind of the way that these things have changed. You see it in older objects more than you can in new objects sometimes. But yeah, so I'd been making that work for a long time, and I had wanted to kind of make moves, and I've been freelance photographer since I moved to LA 3 years ago.
Well, your work looks like there's like a timeless quality, or like a place out of time to the places and things you shoot. And so, yeah, like I can definitely see that. So it makes me wonder, like, have you shot like modern cars? Like I don't wonder how that would fit within your body of work, like what that would be like, what that would look like. I know you would do something cool with it. I mean, it's hard to see it sitting next to some of your other work. I don't know
if I do them justice. I would, maybe we could talk and I could share some stuff with you. I would appreciate the critique, actually. But yeah, I've shot quite a few modern cars for different blogs, and I've done some things for just different European magazines and stuff. 1 or 2 jobs for OEMs and things like that. So it's good, but I think it's usually when someone hires me for something like this, it's usually because they want that kind of timeless quality like you described.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that fits with a lot of kind of marketing imagery that's in fashion today. So,
yeah, definitely.
Well, I think the style fits, I think
that's starting to change. Like, like Road and Track is wanting, something different.
I wasn't sure we were going to include this one.
Do you want to skip it?
No, it's good. It's a friend of mine.
I just added all the ones that you added.
Yeah. So like we were kind of talking about this idea of like people as extensions of their cars. This is just a friend of mine who drives this 60 or 61 LeSabre around LA every day.
Wow.
He's Italian. And I swear the dude looks like he always just kind of committed a crime and is on the run. And I've shot him various times in his car, but I just feel like he is definitely kind of like a human extension of this car. It's this insane, like 19-foot long Buick with this beautiful, pristine red interior. He drives it with the top down every day, but he drives it around as if it's like a Corolla or something, right? Doesn't care. Just drives it everywhere. Drives it to the gas station, drives it to the store, cruises it, fixes it every time it breaks. And he's a cool guy.
That's incredible.
But it's kind of like a quintessential getaway car.
Yeah. Well, I love this perspective. Like, that is an unconventional perspective for like a portrait in a car. And then the lighting is awesome. And the shadow fall off is, I definitely love that.
Well, I like that you also kind of like minimally see the car, but you can instantly place it in time in a way, right? Like, you know that it's not anything later than kind of mid 60s.
Right.
And the little swath of red vinyl that you see, like, you wouldn't see that after the maybe early 70s. So, and the way the dude's dressed, and I don't know, it feels the moment in time. But that was like in 2020. So,
all right. This one, I saw this and I love this on your site. So what was this part of a series, or what was this?
I just do a lot of walking, especially around LA, and I just sometimes will point my camera into a car that I see that looks interesting, and sometimes the people that drive them also just kind of look like improbable extensions of the car. I like that there's kind of a slight motion blur to this, and you can see the flash, and the colors is kind of like a sickly green, and this woman just looks like she's kind of not happy.
Yes, that is the official hand position of not happy.
That car is like kind of grown around her in a way. And it's kind of beautiful. She seems like she's sort of one with the car. She was just driving down Sunset Boulevard one day.
Yeah, she is the exact same color as that interior.
Yeah,
like her clothes,
everything. But I've shot several kind of candid portraits like that of people just in their cars, and sometimes you just look at it. You see people on the street with dogs. Their dogs sort of look like them, and it's always kind of funny. I think it's kind of the thing about cars.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot about a person by the type of car they drive.
Yeah, I will look for that now. I'm going to look for people looking like their cars.
Same story with this guy. This was in Ohio somewhere, but he had a hamburger in each hand.
What?
I didn't catch that moment, but he was cruising. He had just pulled out of some fast food place and cruising, and I love the way that the light just kind of hit the windshield, and also just looked like this car has been a part of him since it was made.
Is this a Suicide Door Continental?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The windshield and his shirt are like the exact same color and angle.
Yeah.
Which is great.
There's something about that moment where I just felt like that dude, I don't know, he felt like this big fat embodiment of this big car, and he was having a great time.
Yeah, 2 hamburgers. Who wouldn't? Yeah, this is awesome. Like, this I can relate to. This is like something I would see this scene and I'd be like, yeah, this is
such
extremely my shit.
It's total Instagram fun. This feels kind of like a time warp, time travel, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think it's a pretty clear demonstration of how cars are kind of one of the most important features when you're trying to place an image in time. Like, filmmakers obviously use them very skillfully in old, like, time period shows and movies and things. And I love that in LA you can just kind of come across these scenes from time to time. Every single car in the photo is from like pre-1985, and so it just feels like it's from Stranger Things or something like that.
In LA, I always say this, but the weather is so mild usually. I think this is probably like I guess we just got through like the hottest part maybe, but it's usually so mild in LA that you can drive something that doesn't have like great air conditioning or whatever, like year round, which is pretty unique for in America.
Yeah, it's true.
So Who are your biggest influences?
I mean, I think lots of friends. You're a big influence, I would say.
Thank you.
But I think kind of in the canon, like Robert Adams, Stephen Shore,
Yeah.
kind of the big ones. I mean,
Right.
I really have. I have. I don't know. That just seems so like cliche to sort of say, but um, I feel like there's just such clarity in his vision in particular.
Yeah.
But the difference of kind of trying to make images that feel like that now is a completely different pursuit than it would have been when he was making his stuff.
I know. I think about that all the time. I think about like Eggleston. I feel like how he used cars is like similar to how where they pop up and they are just these objects for storytelling and showing like this cultural
stories, right? Like,
yeah. But like when he was shooting, they were contemporary, and that's just like so hard to wrap my head around because, yeah, I don't know. It's that timeless thing.
Yeah, I think also just in terms of gear and stuff, the way that Shore he shot a lot of 35 and then he went back and tried to kind of revisit similar things with a different format. I've done a lot of that as I've changed camera systems and as I've kind of become a little bit more technically adept and like what you can do with those new handheld medium format cameras is insane. It's insane. It just opens up so many. I know you don't like to talk about gear, but man,
no. I this is like new to me. Like I don't even know. So yeah, like
have you shot
please.
any of the Fuji GFX bodies yet?
I've just like heard about it.
You should rent one and take it out for a day.
Okay.
Where
I'll notice immediately.
Intangible. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It isn't on first gloss all that different than shooting kind of a high resolution full frame camera, but there's something about the dynamic range and the color and kind of the slowness of the machine that kind of makes it feel like shooting a Mamiya 7 or an old Bronica RF645 or something. And it's really, really nice to be able to do that without also having to worry about all the logistics of film and stuff. And it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I'm intrigued for sure. So I will.
You're a Nikon shooter, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I moved from Nikon Z7 to the Fuji GFX.
And the Z7 is like brand new to me. I mean, I don't have a Z7. The Z7 is like, oh, didn't that just come out?
You're still shooting with an 850?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, those are amazing.
I love the 850.
20 years.
I have an 850 and an 800, and I don't know what they're like. I'm kind of waiting to see what they replace it with. But I mean, I should just get another 850 because it's so good. Like, but
that'd be good forever. I mean, with the kind of work you do, like the thing about the GFX is that they're still pretty cumbersome and the lenses are giant compared to like full frame equivalents. But I don't know. They just kind of open up a different door that wasn't possible 5 years ago, and it's been really conducive to my work, I think.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, that's really cool.
Most of these that we've looked at so far are just old full frame shots.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah. Like when we get to something that's different, like definitely tell me about it. And we've broken up the work that we're going through. We're going through like car stuff, and then I've kind of arranged it in order. This one, like there are cars, but it's not. It is like definitely a portrait and not car stuff. But please tell me about this. I love this lighting. I love like how the background goes away, but there's still a place
in that corner.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah. I just got that a couple months ago. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. That's you have an ND filter Miata.
Love it. Also cliche, but amazing. No, this is my grandma. I took her on a road trip earlier this month, actually, and she was gracious enough to pose for some photos, and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
I would highly recommend it if you ever get a chance to take your grandma, if you're lucky enough to still have her. Yeah, it was fun. A lot of stories, and she was very gracious. She put on her cowboy boots just for my photos.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I love I love the arrangement in the parking lot and everything with the lines. Is she in New Mexico?
yeah, yeah,
So was this like one light source like off to the side?
yeah. One light source just off to the side, just a little strobe head.
Yeah, it's really good. Um, this is from the lowrider story. Like this one, I like had to include. Um, it's so, it's like the car. Well, I'll let you talk, but I will just say like a few things that popped for me. It's like this is like the car angle, but like it's so turned. It's so different, you know, because it's you know it's lowrider, and you've even got like the front wheel turned, um, and but it's like the lighting is like way more dramatic, and the car is obviously way more dramatic. Like it's and then the scenery is incredible. So I just think it's very cool. And then the sun, the setting sun, like hitting like the chrome under the car is.
That was lit. I think all the car. So the car was in complete darkness until I lit it. The only thing that
Oh,
was lit
really?
on was just the landscape in the background.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I think this is three lights. Um,
Oh, okay. You fooled me because
there
you
was
fooled
so
me.
much to this car, like the layers and layers of paint. I forget the name of the artist. I think his last name is Vanderslice, but he's fairly well known in New Mexico for doing these kind of super layered, like iridescent paints. And I don't know if you can see kind of like the metal trim at the bottom of it. It's etched or engraved.
Oh, wow.
Um, and there's also like the whole undercarriage also has kind of like a jacquard looking etched engraved surfacing on it. This car was insane. This shoot was such a hassle only because there were three cars. We did it over 3 days, and all three of them broke at one point during the shoot. Like these things are super fragile, right? Like they don't really come out. They only go 5 or 10 miles an hour.
Wow.
Generally, they should be trailered in if they're going to go somewhere. And these guys just like drove them to wherever we were gonna shoot. And this one, like the suspension, something happened to it right before it got there, and so it was like we were super late. And I had planned this one out early, and we ended up getting there just in time. But I these cars are so culturally important to this place, and this is the place that I grew up. That I really wanted to kind of make a commentary, especially with this one, with the striated paint of kind of how it's tied to the land and how the culture is tied to the land. And I don't know if I really did a good job of that, but that rock formation just fit perfectly with the car. And
Yeah.
it's just so like resplendent. There was actually a little kid sitting in there while I took this shot. I got a few portraits of him. He was stoked. He kept
Oh,
sticking his
that's
hand out
awesome.
the side and giving me like peace sign and stuff. And he was having a good old time. This particular shot didn't have him in it, but it was like a father and his son, and it took everything to get this car to this actual spot, like right before it got dark.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it was really cool. Really cool.
I would have like, I like how the paint like highlights the curves of this car where you're like, oh, I didn't know this car had curves.
Yeah,
You know?
it's funny because like the Monte Carlo specifically is a really kind of culturally significant car, and I feel like the way that these lines are drawn kind of acknowledge all of the older generations of Monte Carlos that had those sort of eyebrow
Oh,
looking
yeah.
fenders. And I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like they were kind of referencing that in a way. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels like it feels kind of softer, like the older generation Monte Carlos.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I used to see these things rolling around all over the place when I was a kid, and they were always kind of like unapproachable, and but rarely were they this kind of labored over and like fine, because they use these
Yeah.
cars a lot as hoppers. So they're kind of they've got like rough paint, and they just they're it's about the hydraulics and about the engineering. This one was really about the paint and about the interior. And
Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's like cream of the crop.
yeah, the dude was, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember whether the guy that owned it had been the one that had gotten it to this point or if he had bought it from someone, but he'd had it for a while.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I hate to, I don't want to rush through, but I want to
Oh,
get to
no,
like
no,
your
no.
non-car stuff. This one, I love like the colors in this photo. Where did you find this?
It was just in a garage, actually next to the friend in the Buick. This was in a garage like right near his house in Glendale, California. There's just a whole cache of all of these beautiful old cars in there. We don't know whose they are or what they're for, but people just seem to store them in there. And this one wrapped with plastic just kind of, it just looked voluptuous and beautiful. And the kind of slight covering just kind of looked like a sheer nightgown or something. And it just felt very like feminine and suggestive. And I don't know. And the color is just amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. I don't know if it's really that pearlescent or if it's the plastic bag that makes it look pearlescent, but I love that.
I think, I mean, it actually looked like it was kind of rough. I think it might be the light plus the bag.
It's like a matte, kind of matte, like patinaed.
But I tried to light it kind of from the top left, sort of, so you could see that line around the fender a little better. But it looks like skin. It looks like a nightgown. It looks like, I don't know. I just really liked that car, and it wasn't in great shape. You can tell like the emblems kind of falling off the side and stuff.
I love like the transparent shadow, like the light going through that bag.
This is one of the shots from the GFX.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of tell. I don't know if you can tell at this resolution or with compression or whatever, but you can tell it's kind of the gradations and the pinks are really, really nice.
Yeah, I can definitely see that in the chrome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's probably the best thing about it. Like they really handle highlights in a way that I hadn't really kind of experienced before.
Oh.
You don't get blown out anything.
Or like the chromatic aberrations stuff.
Or the weird chromatic aberration. Yeah, because the lenses are extraordinary too.
Wow. Okay, let's see. This one, this one just spoke to me. Was this in your $800 car?
Nice. Yeah, my $900 Pontiac, totally. I don't think that sign is there anymore. This car, I sold it a long time ago. I'm glad you pulled this one out because this was like a moment in my life. I was lost. I didn't know where the hell I was going, but I had this car and I felt great in it. And all of those things are gone now. And just kind of speaks to photography's power to kind of preserve these moments in time that are fleeting. That's a lot of what I'm trying to do too, is just capture these times and places that we won't see in the future. So
for sure. Yeah. This definitely feels like a road trip I've never been on, or like you see these cars, you see like some old American car when you're out shooting in these places and you're like, I wonder like what it was like when that car got here, or when that car parked here for the last time, like this is like that view, or if you see one of these cars and you wanted to get in and like drive it, like this is what you would see. I don't know. It just really conveys that. And
also,
like this is
sadder than I remember.
But yeah, I just like that this conveys such a feeling about cars while barely showing a car.
Mm-hmm.
This one also, So tell me about this.
Similar thing. I think this is, I'm sure a ton of people watching this have probably stopped at this place. This is the Wigwam Hotel in Holbrook. Have you been there?
No.
There was a chain back in the 50s and 60s, I believe, of these wigwam villages. They were motels. So each of those little wigwams that you see was a motel room. And there's one in Rialto, California. There's one in Holbrook, Arizona. And there's one somewhere in Kentucky now. Those are the last three standing. And this one, they just kind of keep it decorated with a bunch of old non-functional cars, and people stop and take photos and stuff. But I'm drawn to this place. I've stayed there a few times and I've shot it in various different ways, but trying to kind of find angles of it, because there's a Safeway across the street and you can see kind of modern cars all over the place, but there are views of it in which it just looks like it's still stuck in that time where it was first built.
Yeah, if you didn't have the limitation of trying to working around those, you might not have like done this angle,
Yeah.
Which is cool. Your use of flash as like this like little pop which I assume is going on here on the bottom right,
mm-hmm.
is makes me curious to revisit that because it's very cool. I hate to rush through. This was the alpha you shot for Road and Track.
Yeah, yep. That was earlier this year, and I just liked the way that the landscape kind of accentuated the lines of the car. Are there any more photos of this car in the set? I don't remember.
No, they're not.
It was an old '80s Alpha that was done up by a clothing brand here in LA, and with an auto journalist, we went out to Jawbone Canyon and just kind of ran it around, shot it all over the place. And I think this was the last shot we got before the end of the day.
Wow. Yeah, it looks like the light was fading, so you really have the dramatic difference between the flash and the landscape, the natural light. I love like the purple tones to this. Okay, I think we might be getting through the cars. Okay, so this is I don't want to rush through these, but like this is how I first, you were on the radar of like you were the guy that shoots malls, but you're not. It's not like urban exploring. I mean, you said you were kind of in that circle a little bit, but it's just like beautifully, like every one of these is like the right time of day, just the right everything. And I want to know like how much preparation goes into some of these, because if you were to just stumble on it, like it looks like, oh, I just want to go there and take this picture. And it's like, no, not so fast. Like, it's not that easy. It's like the light, like, right where to look. Like, I love that. Well, so yeah, the question buried in there was about how much preparation goes in.
I think that the preparation is usually on the front end, where you just have to find these places and kind of know where they are, and slink around them and hope you don't get kicked out by a security guard, and pack lightly and just be willing to revisit them 2 or 3 times on a trip so you can maybe find some good light. Yeah. But these are truly like, this was kind of the original reason that I started looking just at design, especially in the American context, as these kind of cultural totems, right? Because I still can't get over this idea that malls are full of people one decade, and then a few years later they're just like empty. Like, we literally throw away these massive places. We throw away plastic water bottles, and we talk about that. We throw away straws and all the things that are kind of like, we throw away the clothes that we buy way too quickly and stuff, but we actually throw away entire giant buildings and the giant neighborhoods that surround them. And that's a really interesting kind of set of things to think about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
What is public space in this context? Like, this was never actually public space, but now these things are becoming Amazon distribution centers, and that's really not public space. And so our cities are way worse off because of it. And this is obviously tied to car culture in a way too, right? Because we all drove our cars to the mall, and the mall was a function of the fact that we all drove cars. And so I don't know, it's just kind of these concentric circles of things that I've thought a lot about. But this particular one is a mall that I've visited, I think, 4 or 5 times over the years. This was last year. The parking lot has kind of given way to, I think it was ripped out actually, but you can see the growth coming in, and it just really sort of, but it's miraculously still standing. This place has been abandoned probably for like 20 years at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like people don't want to spend the money to do anything about it, so it's easier to just sit there. Like, there's
one, can't agree on what to do with it, or like, there's all kinds of like bureaucratic reasons, and it's just it's crazy. But like, these were once, I mean, these were when we were kids. These were the centers of our neighborhoods and our cities.
Yeah,
so many of them like this now. This one really is, I think, kind of the kind of most scary, foreboding, kind of crazy looking dead mall that's left. About 10 years ago, there were a ton of them. And I'm totally not the guy who shot these best. There's probably like 4 or 5 other people who, like Brian Ulrich. There are several other people who really kind of did some amazing work focused specifically on these dead malls. But man, like to just walk around something like this that's so dead, when you hear a highway buzzing by you, it's like kind of a religious experience.
Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. I thank you for that explanation. I love that. When I first found you, your name on Instagram was America is Dead.
Oh my gosh.
So and then you changed it to your name, and I was just curious what prompted your change?
So I guess the brass tacks reason that I changed it was because I was actually losing work over it. like I lost a bunch of jobs just because people were just like, wait, I don't want to work with someone named America's Dead. That's terrible. No.
Yeah.
I think people who got it kind of got it right. It was always, there was a lot more of this work at the time, and it was never ruin porn, but it was more just kind of like these places that were out of vogue for whatever reason. And I don't know, I tried to kind of look at them in a way that gave them a little bit of beauty, even though that wasn't really apparent. I think this mall is in this state, even it's like super beautiful to see it this way. It's sad, and there's a bunch of things that go along with it, but yeah. So, but back then I felt like it was kind of possible to make that kind of critique and say America's dead, haha, and it was like a kind of tongue-in-cheek thing. It felt funny, it felt good.
And now it's too real.
Too real. So
yeah.
So I just had to kind of retire it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I can't picture like Road and Track tagging you and you're in the photo that you shoot for them, and then it's like, oh, by the way, the creator is like, I totally understand that. I hate to rush through these, and you capture like ugliness so beautifully. And I never once would think this is like ruin porn, because it is like you're showing like loneliness, loneliness and what once was. And well, that's something different to me.
The way I think about these specifically is like architectural renderings. It's possible to see kind of what they looked like when they looked the way they were intended to look. Mm-hmm. And they're all things that we kind of recognize in a way. But yeah, they're ruins. No.
Yeah. Yeah, this one.
Oh wow.
Like this time of day, this light, like this scene, it's just yeah.
This is one of those ones that's now an Amazon distribution center.
Really? Yeah. Wow. That, like, whatever that facade is just very haunting. And then the parking lot is completely overrun. And again, it relates to cars, it all ties. Yeah, is this the same one?
Same one, different day.
Yeah. Different framing, different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Different camera, maybe. I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You got the Panera and all the rest.
Yeah, this one, I don't know if this was the final version of this image. I think I might have sent you the wrong one, but this, I don't know why, but this one to me just kind of feels like the most like all-encompassing American image that I've ever made. I saw it from the freeway. I stopped my car, jumped out, and like ran across 5 lanes of traffic to take this. This is not photoshopped. This is literally like, this was off the freeway, off ramp, like in a town called Shepherdsville, Kentucky. And the light was setting, and it just, I mean, I don't know. It was one of those moments where it's just like, man, this country sucks. This is really like, is this what we are? This is really so sad. Yes. And it's just, I mean, that's what we've asked for, I guess. And new stuff is being built and old stuff is being thrown away, and that's just how we do things.
Yeah, we have Six Flags over Texas, but these are the Six Flags over America.
Yeah, right. I just couldn't believe how perfect.
I know. I mean, just how they follow the mound, and then how it is just this pile of dirt that's going to be a 7th one of these.
And it's all just like the lowest common denominator shit you could think of. Like nothing I want anything to do with, and it's all just there. So yeah. All right, let's go. So this one, all right. So I included this because this is travel. This is a beautifully lit like hotel with cool colors and stuff, and I could see myself taking a shot like this kind of. But like this the next one, like I was like, this is when you travel and you come to these motels and you're in remote parts of America, and like you walk through that door to go book a room, and you have no idea what you're gonna find. Yep.
And so like I can smell this, like I can feel this. I feel the carpet, like the cheap carpet, like squishing under my feet as I take a step into here. Like the fonts, everything on these signage. Like this is the feel. Like I would never take this photo because I just wouldn't. like my brain is switched off. It's like, oh, well, there's not a car and I'm not looking. I'm no longer looking. Like you're always looking. I would just like walk in and like, okay, this is weird. I'm going to get my room. Like this one just, I had to include it for that. Cause like, I just feel this so much.
I guess I hadn't thought so much about this one, but I think I shoot spaces like this a lot because it feels like they're kind of also on the way out. This will be torn down or remodeled in a couple of years and it won't look anything like this. And I like places like this. It's crappy.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it feels like this wherever I go.
Yeah.
This place is like a $30 a nighter in Tucumcari, New Mexico that I've stayed at a bunch of times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went through there last year with Daniel Sloan, and it was great. Like not enough time there, but it was really good. All right, let's move along. This one, where did you find this?
That is from such a long time ago. That was in Virginia, in the middle of nowhere in Virginia, I think in 2015.
Okay.
And
wow.
It was one of those, like, it was like an apparition, just kind of and
it looks like this was like built.
It actually worked inside, and I called my own phone on it, and it was like, holy crap, this actually works. And as far as I know, I drove by it in not such great light maybe 2 years ago, and it still was there and it still worked.
Wow.
A town called Fishersville. I don't know why they still have a working payphone, but there must be some kind of administrative reason or something they've got it. But
yeah, they're waiting for Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love the photo, and now I love it more with the story. This one, I think, is the last one that we included. There's a couple more. Sorry, this is from your road trip with your grandma. Like, this is such a like expressive portrait when you're not even showing her face.
She was sick of me taking her photo at that point. She's very cute. She indulged me. She wore all this kind of like 60s looking clothes, and it's kind of how she dresses generally, so it wasn't that big of a stretch for her, but she was very cute.
Oh man, I love that.
I had just spilled my soup all over the table, and I was pulling my camera out, and she was not super happy, but she was a good sport.
There are a few more. This was, I kind of broke it up. Like, you've got your cars, and then you've got cars, and then malls, and then like kind of like diners and motels, and just like life. And yeah, I love these tones, these colors, this shot, and it's just amazing. It's so rich.
The little diner in Long Beach that has since been torn down.
That's a shame.
Yeah, of course.
Is Long Beach cool? I haven't spent much time there.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. This one was at like an ice cream shop, like a Tasty Freeze type place somewhere in Idaho, and that sound was just cool, and the lace was great, and it felt like a scene. I was kind of bummed that there was that modern looking Pepsi logo in it, but
I know I didn't notice it before, but I saw it this time. But I love like the glow on the tray and the top of the trash station, the red glow. Okay, I think we definitely have one more. I included this because I'm looking through your work, looking through all this stuff, and I'm like, man, like I need to just shoot more. Like, I want to shoot more of this. Like, I want to see this and shoot this more. And it's like, it's not that easy. Like this is like such amazing light and scene and everything. And it is like common objects, but just like masterfully documented. And this just like shows that so well, because like, like if it was any other time of day, this would not work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that is it. So yeah, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
I don't know. This was like 6 o'clock in the morning in a restaurant in Albuquerque, but I think I shoot a lot of things like this just sort of as an exercise in looking around. I try to keep my phone off as much as I can, and I feel like anytime there's any kind of decent light, you can always find a decent shot of something, right? That's
a really, really good piece of advice. That's a really, really smart piece of advice. I think we should all remember that. I was going to ask you, like, because you look and you see things differently than most people. And so like, what is something, and maybe you already said it, but like, what is something that anyone can do to see things, like to see the beauty in every day, or like see interesting things, find these compositions? Like, what's one technique we can all apply?
Turn your phone off.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, I think it's just
for me.
Just stopping and looking. No, I mean, you use your phone as a tool, but I mean more just like the like face buried in it all the time. I'm guilty of that, just like everybody else is. Like I spend hours and hours and hours on Instagram and just doom scrolling and stuff. And I feel like that's just such a bummer thing to do. And I find when I can actually put it down, I can't help but see cool stuff all around, you know?
That can't argue with that. That is great. If anyone has any questions, we'll take them. And if not, we'll wrap this up because we are at an hour. This has like flown by for me, but yeah, Tag, like it's been really great. This has been incredibly insightful. And like I said, I spent a lot of time looking through your work and your website. And, you know, when I look at other photos, when I look at like car photos, like I think like, oh, like, you know, I question like, you know, exposure, or I question my own, you know, sometimes I look at other work and I question my own photo taking things. But like when I look at your work, I'm like, I am not even pointing my camera at like the right shit.
Come on, man. No, seriously, I think the fact that you're doing this and kind of making it such a convivial thing, like that's awesome. I think that's the best thing we can do, right? It's kind of silly for us to just.
Is that a real word?
Convivial?
Yeah, I don't know it.
We're sharing. It's like it's a positive thing. We're friends, and it's cool instead of silently kind of alone feeling bad about ourselves when we look at other people's work on Instagram or like awards they've gotten or something. I've done that more than anybody, and it's just not worth it. Like it's just awesome to like engage with you and other people who are making awesome work, and I think that's kind of the antidote to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I appreciate you. Like, you see what I try to do with my stuff. Like, to some people, it's just car photos, and I like, I'm gonna get that, and that's fine. But for someone like you to see that I'm like trying to do artistic things with cars is like cool. And that's like my goal, but it's just that commercial element just always creeps in. Like, it's so ever present. You know, it's like almost like you slip into that.
I would read it as that it's made you technically really, really, really adept, and now you can break all the rules in whatever way you want. That's something that a lot of people don't get. Seriously. Just keep using your camera. Like Megan, your stuff is amazing.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on here. I think we'll end it. But those are like some really good things to end on.
I don't see any questions. I don't know if I was supposed to.
No. It's like Alex Hecht asked, "How did you get so good at this stuff?" And we'll tell him to go back to the beginning and go through this. But
Alex is a good dude.
Awesome. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Not at the moment. No, just
okay.
Watch Capturing the Machines YouTube channel.
All right. Well, thank you. We got your Instagram and your website.
Be nice to your fellow photographers. I think that goes.
Perfect.
Right on. Cool. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you. All right. We're going to end it. Stay on for a sec.